We're doing it. We're doing it this morning, my friends. Welcome to Loan Officer Breakfast Club. Here we are. It's Wednesday, right, Kristen? So we have to get the flux capacitor up and running.
I'm working on it.
I have to figure out how much time. I forgot to figure out what the percentage is, but we can do that. Maybe somebody can do that for me in the chat. We are at Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. So based on that, based on the fact that there's 52 weeks in the year, what percentage of the year do we have left? That's
like you're throwing algebra equations at people at like 8:31 a.m. I'm having like bad SAT flashbacks right now.
Listen, we got Chat GPT. It's never tired. It is never tired.
So, yep.
Yeah. So let's figure it out. I do want to figure it out. So how much time do we have left in the year in a percentage? Like we got 60% of the year left. What based on a 52-week year? Who's going to figure that out and put it in the chat for me? Because we got to get the flux capacitor up there. Because this is what we do on Wednesdays. Because you know why? Because the first day of the year was on a Wednesday. That's why I do it on Wednesdays. There's a 67%, 63. Well, I got a 67 and a 63. I wonder who's right there.
Well, I feel like we were at 67 last time.
Well, we were like at 60, 68, 69. So I'm thinking the 63 is probably.
Let's go with that.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. We've got 63.5% of the year remaining. The flux capacitor is officially in the chat so we can look at it. And that is the capacitance of the year that is left for us to achieve our goal. Right.
Now you're just making up words.
Capacitance?
Capacitance is a word.
Okay.
Listen, I was in the Navy.
Yeah.
I was in the Navy, and I was an electronics technician in the Navy. Capacitance is real. You have a capacitor and you have capacitance. Somebody fact check me on that in the chat.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm not
capacitance.
Sure
yes, it's a word. Jimn Kyles, that's a word, isn't it? You look like a techie guy.
Absolutely, it is.
Absolutely, it is.
That's right. Yes.
There it is. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Well, you know what we do, Jim, is it's been a minute since you've been here. So what we do now is I let somebody else pick someone to share a win. And Jim, since you're our guest today, I'm going to let you look around the room, right? And you're just going to call on somebody, Jim, to share a win. You're just going to look at somebody and go, that person. Who do you like?
Let's see. William Hughes. Let's do William Hughes.
William Hughes. Where are you, William?
Hughes.
Where are you?
It's not a face. Let me see. Will he come out?
Are you there, William? Are you with it? Capacitance. There's a definition right there.
Hello. Good morning.
There you go. William Hughes. What's up?
What's up, man? Good morning, everyone.
Hey, where are you located? First and foremost, where are you at?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, cool. Charlotte, North Carolina. Great place. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, how long you been in the biz, man? Just curious.
I've been in real estate for about 20 years. And I've been lending for about 16, going on 17 years.
Oh, okay. Well, dude, you are an absolute veteran all the way around. So did you went from real estate to lending?
I started off as post-closing, closing, underwriting, and then lending in 2009, right around the last crash. And my wife and I also are holders of a real estate portfolio that we self-manage as well.
Wow. Got a lot going on, man.
We do. So trying to crank up my lending side so that my wife can walk away from her W-2 job.
Well, there's a goal. What do we call that? Our purpose, our reason,
our why.
Our why. There you go.
It's part of the why. Part of the why.
And then plus, it's like you've got a built-in coach. You know what I mean? Like every day, making sure you're sticking to the plan. So
that is the goal.
Give us a win, man. Do you come here often? Do you come to Breakfast Club much, or what's the deal?
I do come often because I work remote, and so I'm not around people at all in the business in that way, like other loan officers, etc. So I'm my community here, and so one of my wins is, I've been working the plan in regards to calling my real estate agents every day, and I got about 3 applications that I need to work this morning, maybe 4 that'll come over overnight. So those are my wins for the last 24 to 48 hours. And
I'd say those
hopefully
are
I
good
can get
wins.
these all pre-approved today. The goal is to get them all pre-approved today so that they can be looking for houses this weekend. That's the goal.
Great job. Excellent work. Congratulations, my friend. That's a good win, man. Making the calls, got those coming in. Hey, I'm going to give you a t-shirt. I know I haven't given you one. You want a t-shirt, William?
I absolutely want a t-shirt.
All right. Don't give it to the wife. This is for you. This is your t-shirt, man. You've earned it. All right.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, and thanks for sharing the win, man. Super appreciate it. Good stuff, man. Good stuff to start with. Yeah, you bet. All right, let's go.
It's an unspoken rule. It's an unspoken rule that wives have full reign to go ahead and steal their husband's t-shirts.
And that is so true.
I don't think you can mandate that one.
You know, it's so true. There's like 6 of mine in her dresser drawer. You know what I mean? It's like, whatever.
Look, I'm usually listening while I'm taking my daughter to school. And so she's always picking up the tidbits. So she may be the one that's trying to snatch it.
There you go. That's fair. That's fair. Right on. Thanks, William.
Thank you.
Hey, man, thanks for letting us pick on you. We'll do one more, and I'm going to let the delightful Jennifer Woodland pick somebody. Jen Woodland, are you ready?
Okay, yeah. I'm going to go into, let's see, who do we have here? I'm going to choose Andrew Sobalski.
Wow, good one. Andrew, can't say it. Andrew
Sobalski.
Wow.
Sobalski.
Yeah. She got it right on the first time. She's like in the top 1%.
Nice.
Andrew, we know you. What's going on, man? How you doing?
It's happening, yeah. Even despite being under the weather for like 10 days, not really that bad, just a racking cough where you can't get on the phone. Several contracts still coming in, real referrals, prospects.
Nice.
It just happens, it just happens. There's no rhyme or reason, right? No.
Actually, no, there is rhyme or reason, Yeah. Kristen, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it doesn't just happen. I read something of one time. I believe it was Lou Holtz who said this, but don't quote me on that. But it said, there is no such thing as luck. Luck is where opportunity meets preparation. And Andrew, I know you've been working the plan, so it doesn't just happen. You've been planting those seeds consistently. Yeah. That's what just happened.
That's right. It's this is you're reaping the fruits of your labor, my friend. That's what's happening. And even if you get sick for 10 days, all the stuff you did in the past is kind of still germinating, right? And showing up. So germinating.
I was going to say, I see what you did there. Germinating.
Yeah.
Germinating.
Oh,
Thomas Jefferson says, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Joanne, you had 4 contracts in already this week, and it's Wednesday.
Wow.
Well,
dang.
We have been working it and that's 4 purchase contracts. We also have 3 a streamline refi and 2 VA streamlines. So so we're a little crazy here. And my assistant is going away off the grid for 10 days. So you may not see me on Call Stars.
Sorry. Awesome stuff. Andrew, thanks, man. Thanks for sharing. And of course, the Connecticut Crusher, thanks for sharing. Really appreciate that. You know what we're going to... Oh, somebody said, Miss Dawn, are you trying to say something?
My apologies.
No problem. It's always a pleasure. You're happy to be here. So we've got Mr. Jimn Kyles in the house this morning. We got him here. If you're getting value from this already, go ahead and tap that like button. It helps more loan officers find content that actually makes a difference. And hey, if staying ahead of the market and learning what's really working in our industry matters to you, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you don't miss another episode. We read every comment, so drop your thoughts down below. We'd love to hear from you and know what's working or what you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you here next time. But I would like to, I think you're just going to cover it. So let's go ahead and get to Mr. Jimn Kyles here at the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. Great stuff. Hey, Jim, thanks for showing up again, man. You're a real popular guy here, and probably even more popular than your brother, which is
Oh, I doubt it.
Certainly better looking. Certainly better looking.
So anyway, hey, you had a couple of things that you wanted to share today, and it's about paradigm shifting, right, in our mind. And I think it's a good topic right now because I think what you're going to go over, and I can't possibly spill the beans because you're going to cover it so well, but basically, it's easy for us as originators and salespeople in general to let things around us that happen kind of dictate, who we are, what we do, what we think of ourselves. And we shouldn't be doing that. And so we do need to have kind of a shift in our thought process there. So walk us through that a little bit here. And I think that everybody's going to get a whole lot out of this. So take it away, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, well, it's always a pleasure. Thank you, Frank, for inviting me. Last time you and I talked, I was on this with Steve, who is clearly the better looking one and the most popular. And you and I, we were talking about the challenge for many is that something happens in your experience as a loan officer, mortgage professional, and that painful moment can end up leading to really some bad thoughts of how we think and frame that situation that ultimately, if we're not careful, can create a narrative and a story in our life that sabotages us and then could lead to depression and anxiety and ultimately people leaving the business because they didn't reframe the situation or change the old thinking that they had. So you talked about what are some things we can do? Well, the first thing I think is realize that it's your thinking that can hold you hostage. I think that's really a powerful principle that we've got to understand is it's not a situation. In other words, let me say it like this. You're not stuck in a situation, you're stuck in a story. So, if you have people that maybe they ghosted you after months of collaboration, if you're not careful, that'll end up being the story of your life. Like, hey, I have people all the time, they just leave, they just stop using me. But really what we want to do is we want to reframe it into a statement like this. I don't chase people. I attract the right ones by consistently showing up. And I think it's Carl. You guys were telling me earlier about Carl, the 16%, the 84%, and you're not going to get everybody. Like at the end of the day, if we recognize that it's a numbers game, that I'm in sales, and if your motives are right, it's like, man, we're here to help build people. We're help to be a solution to those that have problems. Ultimately, the story of your life, the longevity of your career is going to put you in a place where there's a win-win. You're helping to serve people's needs, but you're also building the future that you've always wanted for your life. But you've got to constantly reframe these moments of pain.
Jim, I got a question here. Is there a way that we can catch ourselves when we're doing this? Like, because this is so subtle, right? When we fall into this story that we're fabricating for ourselves, it can be such a subtle thing. We might not even know we're there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, that's a great question.
How do we catch ourselves?
Well, the healthier you are, the quicker you catch it. And so I always go back to this. Usually, pain is a great indicator of a place that we need to address. And so often it'll happen in a place where we see it repetitively happening. One and done is not typically a place where you're going to find the great pain. But if you find yourself constantly thinking the same thought or experiencing the same situation, a lot of times what will happen is the pain that we've experienced was not reframed, so we self-sabotage. And so you create subconsciously that situation over and over and over again. And so that pain might be something, man, people ghost me all the time. Well, if you're saying, I always find this, if you say all the time, you begin to label situations and you've already come to conclusions without being curious, that's probably a place where you're stuck. And then any area where you're not seeing the results that you want, that's where I would just begin. We talked, I think, last time about a thought journal, going back and just taking the next 2 or 3 days. Maybe you're in the industry right now and you feel like I'm stuck or I'm not as effective as I think I should be or could be. It'd be a great time to take 2 or 3 days and just assess your thoughts. I'll do that about every 6 months to a year, especially as I get stuck. I'll just have a journal with me. You think anywhere from 12 to 60,000 thoughts in a day. That's according to the National Science Foundation. And man, think about that, 12 to 60,000 thoughts in a day. Well, only so many, a fraction of them are conscious. And so the conscious thoughts lead us to the subconscious and the unconscious. And the only way to do it is to be curious. It's like when you're going to work on your finances. If someone has not budgeted or worked on their finances for a long time, a lot of people think, well, the first thing I do is go build a budget. Well, that's not really the truth. The first thing you do is you go see where you're spending your money. And you assess where all the money's being spent, because you're going to be able to find. People say, well, I don't eat out that much. But if you're not tracking your spending, it's amazing how when you start to track it, you're like, wow, I spend a fortune on dining out. And so you're simply cataloging the thoughts that you have, and that'll begin to lead you to the path. And it's not easy. It's kind of like the calls. I love the call stars and all the efforts that you guys make to build these systems and processes. And you say it all the time. You got to put in the work. If you want to be successful, you got to put in the work. If you want to be healthy in your thoughts, in your thinking, in the way you've framed your life, it's going to require a lot of work and effort, especially if you haven't put in the work and effort before. If your thoughts have just run wild, you're actually reaping the results of undisciplined thinking. And so to change that requires discipline, just like if you were working out and you hadn't worked out in 10 years. Getting in the gym is going to be painful for a moment. But how many know, after a couple of weeks, a couple of months, it's like, wow, I enjoy it. Not because you always enjoy working out, but you enjoy the fruit of what working out produces, a healthy life.
Yeah. So how do we go about, reframing this?
That's a great question. So you got to flip the script. And so here's what we know. We get to choose the story that we tell ourselves, the story that we live by. And so you begin to speak the new reality. And I put in there, you have put in the chat, there's 2 worksheets that I actually put together for you guys today, which I'm really excited about, because every time I come to you force me to create this content, and I can't just come and speak. I want to add.
That's right. You better create some content.
You're such a taskmaster. No, I don't want to come unprepared. I value people's time. I value your time. I value the invitation. So there's 2 PDF handouts that I created. One was a paradigm reframe worksheet. And I'm really excited about that, because that is one where what we're going to do is we identify, I call it a bite. We talk about the paradigms in chapter 10, 11 of my book. And then in chapter 4, we talk about what bit you when life bites you. And so even in this resource, I put a part that says from the bite to the breakthrough, how to reframe your paradigms. And so you got to first identify what painful moment, what offense, what betrayal. Would you have a partner that chooses another loan officer over you, and you've been working with them, and they're someone that you have helped to resource, and then they tell their real estate friends about someone else? That's a betrayal. But if you don't address the betrayal, then it will ultimately, it could sabotage your career. One little moment of pain that's unaddressed really can affect your confidence. It can affect your focus. It affects your momentum. And so in this, it helps you to have a place where you can write it out. And then there's a place where you can reframe the story. The story I've been telling myself is they used another mortgage broker because that person's better qualified and more likable, whatever the story is. But then you can go in and reframe it. But the truth is, and then you reframe the truth, and you have to be the one to reframe the truth. Now, the thing that I did was I created a paradigm shift examples worksheet as well. Because if you're like me, I just need some examples. So let me give you a couple of examples of how a reframe would look. Rates are too high, no one's buying. That's a limiting paradigm. And you guys give language to all kinds of great phrases and statements that help bring awareness to this in a positive way. So to reframe it, it would be, in uncertain markets, clients need trusted guides, not salespeople. So it's all the same truth, but it's reframed in a different narrative and a new story. Here's another limiting paradigm. Realtors only call me when they need something. Well, the empowering paradigm says, I bring consistent value. I'm building relationships that last. And again, it's a percentage game. Not everybody's looking for a relationship that lasts. They want a one and done, quickest, cheapest. Well, that's not even what you're looking for. So don't allow the pain of a loss of a deal to frame you as less than what you're building. And so there's one more. A partner ghosted you after months of collaboration. If you want to reframe the opportunity, you could say this: I don't chase people. I attract the right ones by consistently showing up. I'm not going to chase deals, but I do attract. But I also will tell you this: if you constantly have negative thoughts, you're not attracting, you're actually pushing people away. It's in the way you talk, it's in what you say. Do you know that communication, it's only 16%? I think it's only 7 or 8% is the words you say. 16% is it's the tone of voice. And I want to say 70 some odd percent is your body language. And if you constantly keep telling yourself negative thoughts and you're standing or sitting or on the phone with someone, they may not can see you, but they can hear your tone of voice, the confidence, the lack of confidence. It exudes from yourself. So you're not actually attracting, you're actually repelling and pushing people away. That's why we got to reframe it.
We were talking a little bit in the green room, and we were asking Kristen and Jen and Krista, because what they're kind of seeing out there, because they talk directly to so many originators every single day, and they brought up where they're seeing the frustration that a lot of originators are going through as they get onto the plan. Right. They have a great coffee meeting with a realtor, right? The first meeting, they feel like everything went great. Then they're in that 12-week follow-up stage, right? And things just don't happen as fast as they would like them to happen, or they're not converting as quickly. And so this is where they start painting a picture or building up a story, getting stuck in a story in their mind. What would you say is I'm just kind of putting you on the spot, a good way to reframe that feeling? Like, I'm in week 9, this person has never even answered the phone once. I've left voicemails 9 weeks. Maybe they're thinking this doesn't work, or, whatever story they're telling themselves. What's a good way to reframe?
Yeah, well, first off, it's a great question, because, success doesn't happen in a moment. And anybody who's ever done anything successful, that. If I could give you one piece of advice, it would be pastoral. It would be this: stop doing and start becoming. So becoming is not in a moment. Becoming is a lifetime. And so what you got to get out of is you're not doing mortgages, you're becoming the person that you want to be. And that means you do mortgages. But if it's all about, so it's the discipline of who do you want to become? I want to be a person who shows up. I want to be a person who does hard things. I want to be a person who's willing to work hard to live the life that I feel like our family and me should live. And so the becoming part is now a part of your identity. Otherwise, what happens is your doing gets worn out when you don't see results. Becoming is a character thing. It's who I am. It's like, I am so I have these statements. I'm a disciplined man, full of character and integrity, focused on God. So why? Because I want to be disciplined. I want to be full of character. I want to be full. So it doesn't matter if I'm making phone calls, if I'm following up with agents. It doesn't matter if I'm, doing my paperwork, whatever it is, it's a becoming statement. And I think as you do that, what'll happen is you'll make a shift, because doing is very limited to the moment. If you don't see instant results, we are an instant results society. But becoming, remember, is a lifetime journey. And so have fun in the journey. Then when I fall, it's like, it's okay. It's a moment. Why? Because I'm not measuring the moment. I'm measuring a lifetime. And I got a lot more time to do this. So that would be my biggest advice.
That's wonderful.
So
they're liking that in the chat as well. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That
was way better than I had, because I would have responded, suck up, Buttercup. But apparently there's another direction to take that. So,
Carl, I've heard that from my wife a couple of times.
Yeah,
come on, suck up, Buttercup. Hey, and I did put in there in the chat, I put in there the stats for the words. I think it's 7% is the words. Tone is 38%. Body language is 55%. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's communication, effective communication.
Yeah.
We talk to people over the phone a lot. So, and the way I figure out the numbers, the proportion would be 33% or 34% is words, and 66% is tone. So
Mm.
that sounds to me like we really have to work on tone over the phone a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
If we are, I have a tendency to be pretty direct and straight on, and it seems like I need to practice softening up everything that I say in order to get across in a better way to clients. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I absolutely would agree. It's one of the things I admire about Steve, when he does his podcast or he's on this, you guys don't know, but he actually does mouth stretches. He's like, and he'll get his tone, he'll go, and he is constantly working on his pitch because y'all's world is a voice world, and it's almost like you got to become a voice actor. Don't be yourself. Maybe the best version of who you've allowed yourself, which could be just who cares, maybe you gotta, and remember this, when you're becoming somebody, it's always going to feel fake. Someone says, well, I don't want to pretend. Well, you're becoming someone new. So if you want to stay comfortable, then stay where you're at. But if you want to become the person you're supposed to be and who you feel like you're supposed to, be to impact people, maybe you got to pretend a little to become. So anyway, it's great. It's great observation.
Good stuff. Yeah, thanks, Victoria. We got Greg and Sarah. Greg, go.
I love this, Jim. I've been really thinking about like how in the beginning of my career, even especially coming here, I spent so much time. How do I say the script the right way? And the first thing that your brother taught me was that clarity comes through action. It was like just do it over and over again, right? The best things that I'm doing are things that I fail at constantly, get better. But what you're framing so solidly for me right now is it's that energy, right? So even if they can't see me, it's a reason to stand up when I'm making calls. And I'm told in recently my team meeting said that they gave me an award for the partner of the month because I was the most positive person on the call, and that's all came from this. So it's less about the words and it's just more about just putting it out there, right? And it's still okay to mess up. That's not what I'm saying, but it's just pushing out energy, and I got to stop worrying about saying everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Great job. Well, great job on the award as well, Greg. And well done. Well done on working hard.
Good stuff. Thanks, Greg. Sarah.
Sorry. All right, there we go. Well, I was excited to see, Jim, that you would be here. I told Steve yesterday, I was like, man, it is always, we need Pastor Jim, just to be a part of what we're doing, because I will tell you, and everybody knows, most of the people that are on know my story, that I started over a little over 2 years ago, originating again full time. And I knew if it wasn't for my mindset shift, my paradigm, my thought journal, I kept a thought journal after reading your book. And I really hope you start doing podcasts again.
Oh,
I know they're really good. I definitely
thank you.
listened to all the ones you guys did before. But hope you can go back to that again. But I just, again, wanted to just tell everyone how much, until you believe it, until you can change your mindset and you're shifting in your thoughts. We're talking about where I'm at in terms of my production and what that looks like. And it is just miles away from where I was when I first started. But I know it started with a foundation of just having my mindset right, because your thoughts create an emotion and your emotions create actions. And when you can follow that pattern and realize where I'm at today doesn't dictate where I'll be tomorrow because of the thoughts that I have, you will change your life. And if you haven't read Jim's book, guys, oh my gosh, I like bought multiple copies, handed out constantly, listen to the audio version all the time because it really is a refresher. And one of the biggest stories was, don't stop where God didn't intend you to be. Keep going. Things are going to be hard, but that doesn't mean you're not on the right path. Be encouraged knowing that you are doing the right thing. Anything over 0 compounds. And I can't encourage you guys enough. I mean, we're sitting right now for me and my team of 2 at a production of over 5.5 million for the month of May.
Nice.
And
Wonderful.
I've never been in a place where I could say that this is who I am as an originator. That doesn't happen. That hasn't happened to me in the past. And I know it's because I'm finally in an environment that fosters success, that fosters encouragement and support of one another, that we don't try to compete and bring others down to make us feel better. Like, you guys stay here every day. I've been with this group for a little over 2 years now, and
Wow.
I can't tell you guys enough how much you all mean to me. So thank you again, Jim, for doing what you do, and it's definitely making a difference for not just our lives, but the lives of the people that we're partnered with. So
Thank you,
so
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
That was great, Sarah. And before we move on to you, Chauncey, I know we are a podcast now, so some may be just listening. They might be listening on iTunes, Spotify, something like that. If you want to get Jim's book, it's what's the title again? Unstuck and Unstoppable. If you want to get the book, guys, go to Jim's website, and it's Jimn Kyles, but the name is spelled Jimn. Kyles, Kyles. So it's JIMNKYLES.com, JimKyles.com. Go there, buy the book there. It's super inexpensive. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. People get a whole lot out of it, and I know you will too. So if you're listening on the podcast, that is the speakable link, as we like to say, where you can go and find the book. So we're at the top of the hour. Haven't heard a lot from Carl White. I'm gonna call on Carl.
We were kind of joking about this yesterday, Jim, but I was saying, we never see Steve and Jim at the same place at the same time. And we still didn't today. So that little
who is it
mystique is still just kind of hanging in the air a little bit. So it's easy to see you guys come from the same cloth, though, Jim. All kidding aside, it really is. It's easy to see you. Yeah, I hear you talk, and obviously I've known your brother much longer, and certainly spent way more time with him. Because we work together. But you guys are amazingly similar, and I can see where he gets some of his, and I can see where you get some of yours. So it's really good stuff. Hey, I'm just, and I know we're running a little over here, but I got one. Like, how hard is it? Like, I've met Eeyores in my life, right? And they come to me for help in business, and sometimes I struggle a little bit with them. And this is not meant to be funny. And different people are dealing with different things, right? Sometimes it's based on their background. Maybe it's a biochemical thing. Maybe it's how they were raised or what they hung out with, and frankly, maybe it's what they listen to today, which I think might play a big, huge part of it. If I find myself having negative thoughts, or I don't know if negative is the right word, but you know what I mean by it.
Sure.
What's the quickest way out of that?
Well, man, Carl, first off, it's always a privilege. I'm always honored to be with you and partner with you and feel the same way about you. When you're talking about the Eeyores, I just put in the chat, not everybody knows what an Eeyore is. That's the Winnie the Pooh character, walks around depressed and really finds themselves drowning in their thoughts. They're pessimistic. The problem with changing your life is you didn't get there in a moment. You're not getting out of it in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just takes a commitment. And here's how I tell people, the road to 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And so what we got to do is just start taking some steps. And what I even talk about in my book, which I think is really powerful, I've actually read it 5 times and listened to it on anyway, all the Audible. But the thing that I found about our lives is that when we get stuck, people want to get to the vision and the ultimate end of their life. But sometimes getting unstuck is just, what does tomorrow look like?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you get a marriage couple, like I'll counsel and they're like, man, why'd you get married? I don't even know why we're married. It's like, you can't even think about the day you got married. You're in a lot of pain. And I think the Eeyores, they walk around like that because they've been traumatized. Some have PTSD from relationships and home lives. And now here's what we love. Nobody's a victim. That you have to make a quality decision. We call it resolve. grit. You know, you got to make a quality decision, and then you got to have the ability to stick it out. But even greater than this, what I would say, Carl, the thing that I love about what you provide is you got to have relationships, like what Sarah was talking about. Everybody's going to have a bad day, but the Eeyores don't typically have people that they surround themselves with, or, you know, some of them you can't change either. If there's no drive to change them, you got to release them. They become toxic. So always look at, is there a desire? Great, I'll help you, but I'm not, it's the whole hand up, not hand out. You know, I'll give you a hand up, but I don't give them the end. I just give them the next step. I got a guy right now said, PJ, they call me PJ, Pastor Jim. They said, PJ, I feel like I'm called to speak. Well, I've heard that a million times. So I gave him John Maxwell's book, 16 Principles on Effective Communication. And I said, I want you to read this book, and I want you to give me a paragraph of each chapter and what it speaks to you and how you apply it. Well, that's a lot of work. I said, yeah, well, coaching you is a lot of work. So why don't we just start off with, yeah, so let's start off. And he said, well, I said, well, let's do the first 4 chapters. Well, that's a step. I said, you got 2 weeks. Give me a paragraph for first 4 chapters. Well, see, now his goal was to be a communicator. My goal is, can you read a book and give me a paragraph summary? Well, then if you can do that, let's take the next step. And so it's a journey, and that's where they have to realize it, and you have to. And then as a business owner, you know, even it's like, do we invest in people that are going to take 10 years? I don't know if you can. Maybe there's a way. Maybe it's a video. But it's the hungry people that, of course, have the quickest results. I will tell you this, though. The ones that I've helped that seem the worst are the ones that are most fiercely loyal. And so so I always look at the short-term win, the quick wins. You know, I think Steve calls it like the hunt and the harvest or something.
Yeah.
But then I'm also, so I got my quicks, and I got about 6 or 7 they're 5 or 10 years. And I just keep pastoring them, because those are the ones that'll be with you for the rest of your life. And they'll, you know, so I hope that helped, Carl.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, and it's and I know, and you have the same. I can tell you have the same heart that I do. Is nobody's, and somebody here might be struggling with that. You know, and we're certainly not poking fun or anything like that, because it is. It's. I like the way you say it. It's either, you know, a PSD, maybe a biochemical, or
yes,
you know, something, some experience or something happened in the past, or the way they were raised. You know, it never ceased to amaze me how much in our childhood affects us throughout our life, you know, and it's really hard to break those chains. So good stuff, Jim. I appreciate you, man. You're a smart guy.
Yeah,
well, it's always a privilege.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jimn Kyles. Everybody, Jimn Kyles, right? Thank you, Jim. Super appreciate you being here as always. I'll give you the audience applause, of course. You know, I really loved, you kind of said it right in the beginning. You're not stuck in a situation, you're stuck in a story.
That's it.
Right. And I love that, man. That's a really good thing for me, anyway, personally, to walk away with. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think, and you said that, you know, both you and Sarah, man, I tell you, it's who you hang out with. Yeah. You know, it's who you hang out with. Because I have my bad day too, and you know, I hang out with my brother Frank, or Jen, or Sarah, or Krista, or Kristen, or Steve. You know, and I say, hey, man, I'm kind of struggling today. He says, all right, man. Well, like, what do we do? What you know, what happened, and then what do we do? And you know, so who you hang out with, what you listen to, what you listen to is really who you're hanging out with. Because I listen to podcasts, or people, you know, mainly it's podcasts. I listen to podcasts, and you know, I'm hanging out with that person for 30 minutes. So anyway, good stuff. So Frank, we're getting ready to head over to the hotel and start setting up for the Alliance Freedom Club meeting here. That starts, I guess, unofficially this evening. So looking forward to do that, man. We got a great lineup. It's going to be this is going to be kind of a workshop thing where we're going to be sitting in groups of 5 at our tables, and we're going to be solving a lot of problems and sharing a lot of good information. So I'm really looking forward, and that's why I'm assuming that's why Steve's not here now. He's right. He's traveling. He's heading to the airport.
Just saying.
Yeah. So so I'm not really big into the rah events, you know, where we stand on the chair. You can do it. You know, I'm more of a practical look. I know I can do it. Tell me how. Right?
What to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
that's why I've always appreciated your coaching, Carl, because there is that there are those two types of
approaches.
There's motivating, right? But which is good. We do need to be, hey man, let's get our head straight. We can do this thing. But I love your coaching because you're the nuts and bolts guy. Here's what you do today. Here's what you do tomorrow. This is how you say it. This is how you respond to it. I've always loved that about your coaching.
So dude, we're going to be talking about this thing. I tell you, I've really been turned on to this 7-Eleven 4. Have we talked about that here on the Breakfast Club?
A little bit, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, that's been a game changer. I was thinking about that when you say, hey, it's week 9 and I haven't heard from them. Well, are you using the 7-Eleven 4 approach? Are you just using one platform and one platform only? And anyway, good stuff, man. Appreciate you, Frank. You're an awesome dude, buddy.
You too, man. Love y'all, man. Hey, man, Jimn Kyles, thank you so much. We got to get out of here. Do us a favor, guys. If you enjoyed today's show, let your coworkers know about us, man. Don't hesitate to share Breakfast Club with your other loan officer friends. We'd love to have them here. You guys have a great day. We're gonna be here tomorrow. Owen Lee will be in the house. Mortgage market update.
Everybody.
Hey, Carl,
Thanks,
have fun at
Jim.
the event, man. I know we'll probably won't see you until Monday, so have a great one. Have a great event. The rest of you guys will see you here tomorrow. Loan Officer Breakfast Club. Adios.
See you, Sarah.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks all.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks, Jim. Have a great day.
You're welcome.